So by now, I'm sure you've seen that Charlie Kirk has come to the UK and has gotten absolutely annihilated by the British, specifically by our Cambridge finest. And guess what? We didn't even need Unfuck America to do it.
Zelensky refused to hold an election.
Well, no, he can't hold an election.
Oh, wait, did Churchill hold an election during the war?
Constitutionally, Ukraine is not able to hold an election because it's under military law at the moment, and that's just a matter of fact.
Again, he can, as a prime minister or president, he can do whatever he wants.
He can't.
First of all, this is extremely embarrassing for anyone that still backs Charlie Kirk and claims they are in favor of democracy, as he just actively backed dictatorship for the entire world to see. Knowing that when a democratic country goes to war, elections can't take place is very basic, fundamental politics, Charlie. And so doubling down and saying that just because Zelensky is the president, he can do whatever he wants, that is the biggest Freudian slip that anyone just got on camera. But I am absolutely astounded that this man that some of you look up to directly contradicted himself on the counts of both political science and religious education for the world to see so embarrassingly. At this point, I'm going to start assuming that Charlie has some weird humiliation kink because the man can barely deal with college students within his own country. So what makes you think you could come to the UK and deal with one of the highest institutions in all of Europe?
My question to you, I mean, I'm a medical student, and so I'm going to throw out the big A word. I know you get asked about it a lot, but I want to hear from you what your opinion is on abortion.
Life begins at conception.
But about abortion specifically, why do you think abortion's wrong specifically?
Well, you agree murder is wrong?
I agree. Okay, so this is where we get to the question, right? Because what is it about murder you say is wrong? Like, why is murder wrong?
Well, because it's a human being, not just because it has consciousness or because it's of a certain age, because it's a human.
Well, what is it that gives human being this moral worth?
Not its consciousness necessarily.
I didn't say it's consciousness.
I know that. I can imagine it's because it is a human being, because that has a soul.
So I'm a feminist. My question is about the role of women, though. What should women's role in public and private life look like, and what are the material benefits of that?
Well, thank you for that. Can I take it? I don't even want to take this detour, but can we both agree on what a woman is?
Yes. An adult human female is a biological state of being that is also socially experienced. Can I please elucidate just one example of that social experience?
Yeah, I was going to answer your question, but sure, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So let's say you're a member of a tribe, and that in that tribe, you have the biological female anatomy, and in order to become a woman in that tribe, you have to also get a tattoo. That's a social experience that's mapped onto biological reality.
So can a woman have a prostate?
Can a woman have a prostate? Biologically speaking, a woman is an adult human female that has a biological reality, but it's also social experience, right? So I don't...
Yeah, it's super easy. Like, can a woman have a prostate?
We just talk about 100 billion's worth of weapons, because you dodged my question on what was going on in the Middle East, where Trump has just signed enormous arms contracts with Saudi Arabia and with Qatar. And I noticed you ignored the fact that this might have had anything to do with the blatant corruption going on through the Trump coin and going on through giving the very competent sons of Donald Trump billions of investment from Saudi Arabia and Qatar. This is something that is directly embroiling Americans into conflict, but is importantly killing many innocent people. Those nations have been known to terrorize innocent civilian populations. So if you're coming to me and you're objecting to America selling weaponry, why are you defending shilling for the Saudis?
Well, hold on. One is sending weaponry, one is purchasing. Secondly, you do know that the biggest purchase that was announced was commercial airliners, 737, $100 billion. We've heard of Qatar Airways. They purchased $100 billion of...
I was just watching this debate and people were in the...
So Charlie Kirk carries himself and his Cambridge University in the UK to go and debate with these students. Very many people have liked the idea, but others are literally putting Kirk down because they think he is not a good debater. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well whatever you're at. Thank you so very much to all my returning subscribers, and of course, if you're seeing me for the very first time, I hope you do consider subscribing on the channel. So in today's episode, I came across a bunch of videos because of the debate that happened between Charlie Kirk and the Cambridge University students. Very many people have really acted on this debate because most of them are really appreciating on how these students are really eloquent and they are intelligent. They are literally proud of these students' knowledge, how they are smart. But however, other people are not really appreciating Charlie at all. They think he is not a good debater and probably he's just there to intimidate people, but he can't take in a real debate. He doesn't know how to debate. Now, I want us to continue watching these clips. I have not put all the debate here because I'm assuming you can find the whole debate as you search on here.
I was just watching this debate and people were in the comments talking about, dude, look at the phone. She's on ChatGPT. She's using ChatGPT. See, what happened was people started using AI to cheat on their essays, and the AIs would use these big high-level words. And we would look at them like, what the heck is this? What is that? So now when smart people say smart things, people look at it like, dude, that must be AI. That has to be AI. It's not. You might not have known those big words before AI, but some people did. You know,
Charlie Kirk is not a good debater. He's just a guy with hundreds of fans that stand around him and boo whoever debates him and supports anything that Charlie Kirk says because, well, he's Charlie Kirk. He's like a bucket of popcorn. If you don't think about it, it's great. But as soon as you try to dissect anything that he says, it hurts your stomach to listen. He's not a debater. He's an entertainer, and he's a bad one at that. And we saw that on full display when he tried to debate Cambridge, because as soon as he started losing, he started saying that Britain is going to be a third world hellhole.
When we get our way, we'll still have a country, and your country will be a third world hellhole.
Charlie is not a debater. He's an entertainer who scares people for fun. And when his magic trick breaks down, he always resorts to anger. Because when somebody destroys his logical fallacies, he just can't control his emotions. And he tries to reel his base back in by scaring them into believing him. I believe that Charlie has damaged how we talk about politics more than just about anybody else in the world.
I found out about Charlie Kirk a few months ago, and I'll be honest, I'm absolutely fascinated by him because I don't think I've ever seen somebody who's so indescribably bad at logical debate. Let's take a look at this example.
Would you say that a sub-Saharan African woman who's experienced female genital mutilation and checks extremely happy in a survey, and I also would check extremely happy in a survey, who do you think would be objectively more happy?
Now, what options does he have available to him in a logical debate? Well, first of all, he can answer the question. It's either A or B. Or maybe he thinks her question isn't valid, in which case he can attack one of her premises and explain why he's not answering the question. Instead, he responds with this.
If you want to talk about how Islam mistreats women, we could talk all day long.
And then follows up with this.
Should shut off Muslim immigration to the UK, right?
Instead of answering the question, he simply changes the subject to something that had nothing to do with the debate that came before. Now, whenever you see somebody debating something, always ask yourself, are they addressing the issues that were put towards them? And you'll notice with Charlie Kirk, he will do once or twice, but as soon as it gets too difficult, he just changes the subject completely to, I don't know, Muslim bad or woman home or one of his favourite topics. It's just non sequitur after non sequitur. When I first started TikToking in 2020, I did a series on logical fallacies. And over the last few months, I've genuinely thought about bringing this back purely through watching Charlie Kirk videos. Because if you see a 1 minute Charlie Kirk clip, you are guaranteed a minimum of 3 logical fallacies. He tries to win arguments with a gotcha moment. He's not a logical debater. I'll be honest, I think it's quite sad that people like this get so much traction on social media.
I think Charlie Kirk debating those Cambridge students was one of the best things ever, because it kind of shows us that things are not that black and white. Like, Charlie Kirk is a pretty strong advocate for thinking in a very black and white way about everything, like an objective morality, hard right, hard wrong, with like lots of different issues and stuff. And I think that we just saw firsthand how that's just not the case.
Charlie Kirk only wins debates against college students. That's why he'll only debate college students and no one else. Charlie Kirk doesn't even win in debates against college students. What are you talking about? Charlie Kirk just interrupts people and yells and doesn't let them speak. Like, that doesn't mean he wins. MAGA chuds don't win debates because they have no grounding in reality or fact. Like, they aren't capable of winning in debates because they don't have valid arguments. Yelling over someone doesn't mean you won a debate. Like, just because you won't let your opponent talk, that doesn't mean you won the debate. If you're speaking nonsense, you can't win a debate. That's not possible.
Did you guys see the debate against Charlie Kirk and those Cambridge University students? It was such a good debate, and if that doesn't show the difference in education that we're getting over here in the States versus what people are getting in other countries, I don't know what does. So specifically wanted to talk about his whole point on feminism and how he was trying to point to the fact that women are suffering because of feminism. But the truth is that men and women are both suffering because of the wealth gap, which I'm pretty sure the girl he was debating literally mentioned that in much better words, but he just grazed off and he didn't pay attention. It's like the fact that living standards are not what they used to be is the reason why we have all of these problems. But let's blame feminism, right?
At this point, Cambridge doesn't need any student recruitment material because the videos of Charlie Kirk getting intellectually eviscerated by their students is just, it's gold.
I'm so happy that with this viral clip of Charlie Kirk getting owned, people are realizing that he is not a debater. He's just a man with a mouth. You know, those type of men who are like, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. Even within this video, he talks about how he's speaking objective truth. Within the United States of America, the objective truth isn't what he's positioning. That is the constitutional compass. The constitutional compass does not position women as just barriers of kids, right? They are not just baby machines. The fact that he positions that's their worth is a personal opinion. And that's the thing. Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk positions their own opinion as objective truth. What Ben Shapiro does is tells you, well, if a woman is 9 months and she's about to give a baby, do you want her to get an abortion? Which is hypothetical scenarios in which you are supposed to obviously agree with him and then he'll take it as a win. But rather, he's moving away from truth and towards opinion, right? Towards a hypothetical scenario that isn't actually activated within that reality. And that's the thing. They're accusing the debater against Charlie Kirk, who is from Cambridge, which is in the United Kingdom, of using ChatGPT. And I understand that because I'm always told I'm using ChatGPT. I have 2 degrees. I don't need to use ChatGPT, but I very much know when you use ChatGPT because you don't understand the concepts more than what it tells you. ChatGPT is not always right, and I know that because I'm actually smart. See, what I love the most is that Homegirl was wearing an American flag sweater when she was doing this, and I love this because the reason why I did postgrad in the United Kingdom is because I wanted to decenter the American experience, right? American exceptionalism. I wanted to decenter that because unless I am looking from outside as an American, then I am not actually capable of deciphering the lies that we've been fed. And that's what I successfully did when I was in postgrad. And here's the thing, his success, nothing of that has anything to do with anything because there's so many successful people who voted for this president when in fact they could have just read the Constitution, Amendment 14, Section 3, Article 6, the Supremacy Clause, the Citizens Almanac. Literally our fundamentals told them to not vote for someone who caused an insurrection. But they're like, I'm a doctor, I can vote however I want because I have freedom of speech. We're not a pure democracy, you fucking idiots, but you don't actually unpack the lies that we've been fed. And that's the thing. How is it that a British girl knows more about these realities than Americans? Because we've been intellectually disenfranchised. That's why they keep state rights, right? A state right to keep you stupid, Mississippi. You see, this is the thing. The Electoral College was created why? So the states have still control over the votes of its population. That's what it is. They were like, if we're gonna move away from the Articles of Confederation where the states had supremacy, then we at least need to have the Electoral College so that we can still decide on the future of our state. You know, because the people chose us, so they obviously want us to choose a president. And that's what we've been living, a lie. A simulation in which we've been living in accordance to the best interests of the elite. Why do you think they want women to have all these children? That's their employees, right? So they don't actually care about giving them an actual good status of living, or else they wouldn't be positioning like, you know, the budget right now. They only care about having a workforce. So what we have to acknowledge is that what they've been positioning is they've been exploiting Americans. First, they exploited us for our culture. Because the reason why American culture is expanded is because we create that culture. But what do the companies do? They're the ones who sell it, right? But they don't give anything back to us. They don't give anything back to America. The only one is probably TikTok or those platforms that actually you can monetize it. But the companies itself, why is it that Tesla didn't create their company in South Africa? Because people buy things because they're just centered in America, right? They're headquartered in America and that's why people buy it. It is a brand in itself. And it's funny because they want us to pay the oligarchs in order to be in America when they're in America because America is what defines culture. So this is a reality where we've been robbed of our power. We've been robbed of what we actually contribute. And they want to what? Appropriate what we produce so that they can maximize on that through money without giving us anything. And that's the thing. Because we're so fucking stupid, we have not been capable of actually fighting against that, because we accept people like Charlie Kirk. We look at them and we're like, whoa, they're so good at debating. No, they just refuse to admit when they're wrong. That's not debating. That's a tantrum.